Hello and welcome! In this video I will work on Panerai Luminor. This project will have more modern design, with 24 karat gold inlays and star background. Right from the very beginning, I decided to draw design directly onto the metal. For starters, I choose to work on the bezel, as this will be the most viewed surface on watch. The bezel has a big diameter, but it's quite narrow, so I scribe my borders as close to the edges as possible. With careful measuring, I divided bezel in 4 quarters. I'll start with scribing and drawing the first quarter and keep mirroring design. After I have made my first cut, I start scribing in the stars. Stars give more interest to overall design, but backgrounds with stars are a lot more time consuming, as I have to carefully remove material around each star and afterwards polish them. I use fine dental rotary tool with different sizes of burrs to make material removal more efficient. Before I remove background, I have to cut pockets for gold wire to go in. It's same as background removal, but I have to dig in to a certain depth. The standard 110-degree V-shaped engraver lets me cut under relief to create undercuts and set of teeth for gold to hold on. I find that 0.5mm gold wire fits 90% of all my inlay needs. Once I have pressed the gold into the pockets by hand, I use simple brass punch to hammer in the inlays, but due to the softness of brass, stainless steel remains untouched. With help of different shapes and grits of stones and fine sandpaper, I can remove excess gold and at the same time remove the owner's made dents and wear marks on the surface. Once it's done, I start drawing another layer of even smaller stars and finally start to remove background. This is the moment where background removal gets complicated, as there isn't enough space for me to work with rotary tool. I need to shave off material around each star with V-type graver. I constantly switch back and forth between these two tools, which took me many hours just to get to the next step. I recently discovered that small beading tool saves me some time by shaping and rough polishing round stars at the same time. As the bezel is still not looking how I imagine it to be, I repeat all the steps once again on the areas that need to look more crisp. Unfortunately, I cannot use any rotary buffing tools, as they would blunt the fine detail on the bezel that I have been working for a few days already. I applied very fine diamond paste and rubbed the bezel with my finger and afterwards with fine cotton cloth. fine needle shape stippling tool really comes handy when I have to texture some spots that are hard to reach. The last step is to shade gold and stainless steel elements. However, due to the softness of gold, one smallest mistake and I would have to replace the entire section of gold and refinish entire bezel, which would set me back for days, so I'm trying to be extra careful. Black jewelry paint gives me a base layer for black backgrounds. The entire bezel appearance changes instantly with black backgrounds, and it's a very important thing I have to keep in mind before I start designing every project. Cutting surfaces below bezel was a very straightforward job, but I always have to keep in mind not to scratch the bezel. The case side was finally a nice and even surface for me to work on. I used same drawing and mirroring technique I used on the bezel. By now, I'm starting to get a good feeling about how exactly my ideas would look on finished watch. I clamped the case between two pieces of leather as they protect bezel from getting damaged and dampen vibration from my engraver. On this side, I can draw bigger elements, which allow me to get finer detail and contrast into the shading. For the case side inlays, I use 1mm thick gold wire, which allows me to go deeper with backgrounds. After I'm done with engraving, I apply a layer of paint and then let it dry for 5 minutes and remove excess with 2000 grit sandpaper. This project turned out as one of my nicest projects I have ever done, and 2 weeks of hard work was definitely worth it. For more information about my custom engraving, visit my website. I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.